Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God.
Amen.
Lord, I shall open my lips, and my mouth shall declare thy praise. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think I ever remember anyone preaching about what I'm going to speak about this morning. All my life in the church, I don't think it's ever been spoken about. And that is why we offer the bread, or the show offering, or the show bread. The kind of offering that we offer in the church, Qurban. I haven't read about it anywhere else, and we seems to reserve discussion of how to do it and why we do it to the kitchen. Those who bake it are the people that seem to know what they're supposed to be doing, and no one else receive any other instruction than, at best nowadays, you get CD and you buy a seal and someone else teach you how to make it. But I think there's a lot more to it than just that. And why is it that we do it? Number one, it's an offering, it's a sacrifice. Throughout the human history, every nation, every group of people offered sacrifices to their gods. And the sacrifice they offered, it ranged and took many different forms. The Jewish people, our ancestors in the faith, they were no exception. They offered offering and made sacrifices to God. And they lived in a world that everybody was making offering to their own gods. So it's not just unique to our ancestors in the faith. It was a very common human. And we learn about it from the book of Genesis. The first offering we know that Adam offered to God, and his children offered to God. So it was then that it began. Now, according to the teachings in the Mosaic teaching, we learn that in the book of Deuteronomy and Leviticus, Deuteronomy 12 through 16 and Leviticus 16 through 20, dedicated to the way you should make an offering to God. And we learn from that there is two different kinds of offering. One is called animal offering, and the other one is vegetarian offering. The animal offering that could offer a cattle, a sheep, a goat, or a dove. You had many different options, and you could offer any one of these. And then also they were, along with that one, a vegetarian offering. And vegetarian offering could be wheat, could be barley, could be cereal, and any other things. That was really the things that comes out of grain. Everything made out of grain can be considered as vegetarian and made. And the way it was brought in into the temple in two forms. One of the form is like bags or sacks of grain, and then they were offered into the temple. But also, it was supposed to provide for the livelihood of the clergy, the priests of that time. And the second form, that was processed. It means something made by the people of God to be offered to God. And the same thing with any sacrifice. One of the requirements for the sacrifice, it had to be your own sacrifice. In other words, you can't go to your neighbor just because they have a plenty of cattle, just says, okay, let me grab one of the cattle, buy this cattle there, and take it and offer it on my behalf, on the behalf of my sins, to my God. It had to be one's own property. You can't offer someone else's property unless you buy it. And if you buy it, it becomes your own. But nonetheless, every offering, it has to be one's own property. The offering, they had 6 different offerings according to the Mosaic law. One is called burnt offering, second, peace offering, sin offering, third, and guilt offering, and fifth is red heifer offering, and showbread to be placed on the golden table. My major point today is about the showbread, what we offer today in the church. It is very much that came from our ancestors in the faith. It was a showbread that they offered, the showbread that we offer today. Now, according to the Mosaic law, anything that you offer to God is a gift, and it's supposed to be an expression of a tithe. It means whatever property you have, it ought to be taken 10% of that one. So if you have 10% of the animals, you give them to God 10% of those animals. Same with money, same with grain, same with everything. Now, in the church, we offer the offering, and it's often called Qurban. Qurban is an Aramaic term which means an offering or a gift or a sacrifice. And a sacrifice has the meaning, it means to make things holy, to make things sacred. And that's what we do. We bring it in and we make the offering to God to make it holy on our behalf, and as an expression, not only asking God to forgive us sins, but we also saying to God, thank you for the many blessings we have. And this is where the term of the divine liturgy that we so often use, the Eucharist. The Eucharist is a Greek term, and which means Eucharisto. Eucharisto means thank you. Or the Eucharist thus, or the Eucharist, means giving thanks. The entire service of the divine liturgy is centered about giving thanks to God. And what we do is a collaboration between the laity and the priesthood, united in the priesthood of all believers. The priest cannot make an offering without your offering. So on one end, you're participating in it, becoming a very essential, important element of giving is the fact that you offer that bread. And that gift of that bread is given to the whole community on behalf of your family. Example today, the Raymonds made an offering. Their offering was bacon, the showbread, the Qurban. The right term is really, I prefer to use the term Qurban. It's the original word. It has a very unique and meaning that cannot be really translated. Oblation, it doesn't really give it the full meaning. So Qurban is the true expression of your gift. And when they made the gift, Christine, on behalf of James and Jude, primarily, offered those gifts. And in essence, everything in the liturgy is part of their expression of thanksgiving and of love. And this is why we ask every single family, every single person in the church to make sure they make offerings and take turns in providing and sharing in the divine liturgy on behalf of their family, and as well as other peoples that they present their names to be prayed for. So, but the primary purpose is their own family. Now, what happens if someone is single? Well, if he's a head of household, he should be making his own qurban and his own offering. So everyone should be involved in providing an offering and participating in the liturgy in a very unique way on behalf of himself or herself and the community. Now, how do we make it? It is very important to follow the instructions that you receive on how to make qurban. But also, always remember, it has to be collaboration between how you make it and how the priest needs it. Generally speaking, in most places, it's the same. There is no difference. In every church you go to, it's the same. I remember my grandmother when she used to make qurban. And those days, before they used to have ovens and like we do right now, they used to have a place where they bake on the outside. Have you seen in the old days when they have a big, huge hole and then they stick it on the wall on the side? This is the way she baked it. And I remember when I was a child, the piece of bread that she offered, it was 18-inch wide. It was like this big, huge. Now, if my grandmother was here and she started doing that here, I would say, oh, no. Why? I don't know how many of you can see here. You see that small hole? This is where I prepared, and this is called the prophecies table. This is where I prepared your gifts. And to prepare it, I have all kinds of things there. And plus, I have to get my arms and be able to move around. So, therefore, not having a huge place means that I can't have something big. So it has to be fairly small, like about 8-inch. And this is a key important thing that when we bake the bread and following the instruction, baking the bread is really basically simple. The flour, yeast, and a pinch of salt. That's all what it takes, and water, and some kneading, and lots of prayer. And everyone that prepares it should be praying, should offer the offering with prayers for the family, for the church, for the community, for everyone around. It's a beautiful event when you prepare to make an offering to God. And you share in that divine liturgy. In essence, every time when you prepare it, you offer your qurban. And I receive it from you, and I offer on your behalf. You and I are celebrating the divine liturgy. We are sharing in an act of priesthood together. One segment from my end and the other one from your end. And it's very important that we have that dynamics, that relationship established among all of us offering the offering. The second thing that we need to do not only how big the loaf of bread, and typically it's round, and it should fit in this. 8-inch would work, okay? The other thing, height. It needs to be approximately, on the average, 2 inches. Like this. I cut an extra piece today because I want to show you how the best way of doing it. Now, theologically, and this is very correct, some of our bakers would try to make 2 balls of bread to represent the divinity and the nature and the human nature of Christ. And then they form them, and then at the end they try to seal them together. Theologically, it's wonderful. Practically, it's not very practical for what I do here. See, when it comes to offering the body, you see on here, on the front, the seal that says, Isus Christos Nika. Jesus Christ conquers. It's a symbol of the cross, and it has the cross in it. And the priest, any priest, will cut it in the same way. And then, on the bottom, the crust needs to be removed. And then, like so. And then the priest makes the cross on the back, this way, and cuts it all the way through. Now, if we make them in 2 balls, it seems always there is cavities on the inside, and end up separating and making what I do there quite uncomfortable and difficult. Okay. When we present it, it needs to be presented as a complete body. So we need to avoid, even though theologically it's correct, but this is a new innovation added to baking of the bread. It's not necessary. Okay, as long as you prepare it with prayers and the seals, avoid trying to use 2 different bowls, because so many times when after doing this, the whole thing falls apart on me. Okay, so if you avoid doing that, that would be most helpful, and that gives me a good size, enough size for me to commune everybody. Now, when we have larger number of people, the body needs to be bigger. So for me to do that one, since the seal is limited to the side, I start cutting invertly this way. So the base of it becomes much wider and gives me more of the antidron, or the prosphora, the Greek term for that one. Okay, so in case I need to have more for a larger number of people. For us, it's not an issue, but the main thing is really to have 2 inches in height, okay, and 8 inches in width. That would be the most helpful way of to help me participate in what I do, and for allowing me to do it the best way I can and make it a holy and sacred offering. Everyone needs to be doing that. Everyone should make the offering. Every family must do the same thing. There are some people that can't do that, physically unable to do that, and they need to pay someone. Don't get it free. It wouldn't be an offering. If you talk someone into baking it for you, it means it's not your offering. So at least pay them to make it for you if you don't. But everybody should learn how to make it. Those that don't know how to make it would like to teach you and set up a time that you can come in and we can demonstrate how to bake the bread and all that stuff. And you know, sometimes it may be frustrating because it doesn't come out as good as you want it to. Essentially, you want to have it fairly dry with a little moisture inside. It's a very key thing. So the color of being bronze on the outside is a really most preferable, and that indicates it's probably cooked well, and it has a little bit moisture, not very dry and not very humid. Because once it's not cooked well, and it's very humid on the inside, it's almost doughy. And I had so many times that I taken the bread when I cut it, and I grab it, and it's just like a dough. And then it's really not good. Once you put it, mix it with the wine, it changes the color of the wine. I don't know the chemistry, what it causes to do that one, but if it's not prepared properly, it affects that one. So anyway, I want you to know that you are part of the priesthood by sharing in it. And if you haven't had a chance to do it, please do that. It is our responsibility, all of us, to participate and offer liturgies together. Okay. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.